All right, guys, welcome to part 3 of understanding fats and what they entail, what they do in your body, which ones are good and which ones are not. So part 1, we spoke about saturated fats that are extremely stable molecules. They do not cause any kind of stress in your body. They contain so if you get a trans fat from animal source, it contains cholesterol. Cholesterol helps with hormones, which is fantastic. It's only bad for you when it gets oxidized, and it gets oxidized when you eat lots of sugar and inflammatory foods like processed foods or lots of trans fats and that kind of stuff. So that was the recap for part 1. Part 2, I spoke about monounsaturated fats and polyunsaturated fats. So if this is your saturated fat, monounsaturated fat has this like extra thing here that makes it a little bit more reactive and a little less stable than the saturated fat, okay? So that is like your olive oils, that is your olive oil and your avocado oil. You want to make sure that if you're cooking with those, it's low temperature and it's not for extended periods of time, because of that one part there that makes it a little bit more reactive. It can become oxidized and then create inflammation. So I typically like people to use olive oil on salads and stuff like that, or in dressings. Avocado oil, sometimes you can utilize that when cooking with heat. It's a little bit more stable, but again, you want to try and keep more towards the saturated fats with high heating. Then we spoke about the polyunsaturated fats. So here's your saturated, your monounsaturated, and then your polyunsaturated fats, right? They are extremely reactive. They get oxidized very, very, very easily. So you don't want to go near that. So we spoke about that in part 2. Now this is part 3 of trans fats. So let's say, again, saturated fat, monounsaturated, polyunsaturated. A trans fat is something that looks more like this, okay? It's completely convoluted. It's actually like modified by an industry to the point where the body has no idea how to recognize it. It doesn't know how to utilize it. It doesn't know how to absorb it. And so it just creates a lot of inflammation, and then it gets stored in the body. So it just destroys and then sets up shop to do nothing. So it's a lot of stress on your body. Trans fats, you guys, are horrible, horrible, horrible. You do not want to go near them. In fact, they have actually been banned from being utilized in foods and that kind of stuff. Now you're probably wondering, what is a trans fat? Well, think of Crisco. Think of a lot of snack foods like microwave popcorns. They use trans fats. Fast food, because trans fat is so cheap, fast foods and restaurants will utilize them because not only are they cheap, but they're very shelf stable. So you can buy these fats and you can put them on your shelf for years and years and years because that's just what they're good for and nothing else. So fast foods, coffee creamers, you guys, you want to make sure that you are not utilizing coffee creamers because they have a lot of trans fats. And guess what? That's why you can keep those coffee creamers out and not have to refrigerate them, because it's basically like a preservative. Let's see, refrigerated dough products. So pastries or cookie doughs, they utilize a lot of trans fats. Even though it has been banned from foods, there are still companies that utilize it. Now, there's one thing I do want you to look out for on labels. If you see on a label on the ingredients list, it says hydrogenated oil, that is a trans fat. It is literally, it's an oil that has had extra hydrogens put on it, and it's kind of twisted its molecular structure to a point where your body literally cannot recognize it. When you ingest trans fats, and this kind of goes over part 2 where I spoke about polyunsaturated fats that are unstable and cause oxidative stress. So when you eat polyunsaturated fats that are very unstable, when you eat trans fats that are so non-absorbed by your body, like your body can't recognize them, can't metabolize, there's no enzyme in your body that can utilize a trans fat. When you take these fats into your body, they create oxidative stress. So they're destroying everything in your body. They're kind of like just carpet bombing wherever they go, right? So when you ingest these oils, you are going to deplete your own vitamin A and vitamin E, vitamins, your fat soluble vitamins, which are supposed to keep that oxidative stress under wraps. So the more you eat those oils, the more you are going to become vitamin depleted in vitamin A and vitamin E, as well as other things. But vitamin A and vitamin E are your number one fat protectors. And remember, fat is healthy. Fat helps to heal your cells. It protects your cells. It protects your neurons. Like all the nerves in your body have a myelin sheath that is made from fat. So these are very important fats that you need, but make sure you're getting the right fats and make sure that they are getting protected. And what fats do we like? We like those saturated fats and those monounsaturated fats, right? So make sure that you are not touching those trans fats that your body has no idea what to do and they just wreak havoc everywhere they go. And make sure that you're not touching those polyunsaturated fats because they are just bad news. Again, you're not going to see those kinds of oils in our recipes because I like to utilize the healthier oils, but you will find them in fast food and restaurants and snack foods, anything that's in a bag. Because if you buy something on a shelf, it needs to be shelf stable, and these oils are shelf stable. And just because they're shelf stable, it doesn't mean they're healthy. They actually create oxidative stress in your body. So hopefully that was a really good crash course on fats and which ones are good for you, the myths around fats, because again, one of those big myths is that saturated fats cause or raise cholesterol levels. And then you're at risk for heart disease, which is absolutely not true. Remember, it is lots of cholesterol that is oxidized. And remember how we said trans fats oxidize, polyunsaturated fats oxidize. So when you have cholesterol, because think of cholesterol, like I said, it is a precursor to hormones, but it's also the delivery mechanism. So it goes to damaged tissue and it delivers vitamins and minerals to that tissue to heal and repair. So it's this delivery mechanism that is at the place of tissue that needs to heal, but then you are bombarding it with trans fats and you're bombarding it with those polyunsaturated fats. That's when it starts to die and oxidize and then it gets stuck. So that's why we want to make sure we're not having those other things that oxidize it, okay? Hopefully that made sense, guys. Hopefully you are now more of an expert on fats and you feel confident in your food choices. Remember, things from scratch are always better. If you are eating out at a restaurant, make sure if you're trying to heal your body, try to see if it's a really good and healthy restaurant, because again, they like to use cheap oils. They like to use oils that are shelf stable and that are not healthy for your body, but is healthy for their bank account. So just be mindful of that, and good luck.